Hi, my name is Zach Simmons, and this is Pro Football Today. Today we're going to be taking a look at the AFC West. So I'm going to give you my predictions on what I think is going to happen in the AFC West this season in 2019. So number 4, I have the Denver Broncos. The main reason is there's a lot of question marks over this offense. Is Joe Flacco going to be able to lead this offense? Will we see a little bit of Drew Lock this season, or is this Joe Flacco's season? Me personally, I think Joe Flacco is going to have a good season. Last year, he actually played really good. Projected, if he were to continue to do as good as he was before he got hurt, he should have finished with a little bit over 4,000 yards. Should have finished with about 23 touchdowns to 11 interceptions. That's a pretty decent season. The only reason he was benched is because Lamar started winning games after Flacco got hurt. Otherwise, there's nothing that Flacco did to deserve him getting benched. So Denver gets a really good quarterback. I think this is a step up over Case Keenum. But the real question is these receivers. Can Emmanuel Sanders, who's a little bit older, can he be the same guy that he has been the last few years for them? Can he still put up 800 yards this season? Then there's also Cortland Sutton. Can he take a step up from his rookie season? Yes, he finished with 700 yards, but they need him to take a little bit more of a step forward. And then Deshaun Hamilton, they need him to take a tremendous step forward. Can he be a reliable slot receiver? So we'll see how these questions pan out this season, but there's a lot of question marks over these receivers. Can they do? Can they be a big factor? And then don't forget Noah Fant, who they drafted in the first round. Can he be a reliable target for Joe Flacco in that tight end spot? And these running backs, I don't think there's a lot of question marks over these running backs. Philip Lindsay needs to play the same level as he did last year. But the nice thing is they do have Devontae Booker. They do have Royce Freeman, who can be good options behind Freeman. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if you see a little bit more of a committee system there, which I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. The three of them are actually really good. I think they're pretty good running backs. Philip Lindsay, I think, is the better out of the three of them, but Freeman's still a good, solid back. And Booker, I think he's an underrated running back in the mix. Now, this defense, I think this defense just got a little bit better. They took some hits. They lost Brandon Marshall, and they lost Bradley Roby. Now, Brandon Marshall, throughout his career with Denver, has been a solid linebacker, but this last year wasn't really that much of a factor. And then they lost Shane Ray, who's never really been a factor, hasn't been as good as what they were hoping he was going to be. And for Bradley Roby, Roby has been a really good corner for them. They got Kareem Jackson, which is a little bit even. I think it's a little bit of a downgrade going for Kareem Jackson, but he's still a good, solid corner. The nice thing is about this defense is they added Bryce Callahan, and they were able to bring back Chris Harris. That means a lot. So now you keep Chris Harris there. You bring Kareem Jackson, and then you add Bryce Callahan, who's arguably the best nickel corner in the NFL, who played under Vic Fangio the last few years there in Chicago. So this defense, I think, got a little bit better. They need that linebacking core back, though. Von Miller's an incredible outside linebacker, one of the best in the NFL, if not the best in the NFL. But he can't run this entire linebacking core. They need someone else to take charge as well. So there are some question marks on this defense a little bit, but the main reason why they're down number 4 is the offense. Can Joe Flacco excel this year, and can this receiving core step up? Now, number 3, I have the Oakland Raiders. I like what the Raiders have done this season, this offseason. They got a lot of targets, completely revamped this receiving core for Derek Carr. But before looking at that, they revamped the offensive line. They were able to get Trent Brown, who's a great tackle, should help Derek Carr out tremendously. Will give him some more time, which is something he lacked last season. They also added a new running back there in the draft to help them out, Josh Jacobs. So hopefully he can be the back that they needed him to be. They haven't had a good, solid running back in a long, long time. But this receiving core, they traded for Antonio Brown. They were able to get Terrell Williams, Ryan Grant, and J.J. Nelson in free agency. This is a really good receiving core. It's actually a really, really good receiving core. Now all eyes need to be on Derek Carr. Can he be the quarterback they need him to be? Can he be the quarterback they've paid him to be? Because recently in 2017, 2018, he hasn't. Now a lot of that comes from his injury at the late part of 2016. he seemed to be a prime MVP candidate for the next season. Looked to be that Oakland was going to be a Super Bowl contender, but then they flopped. And a lot of that comes from Derek Carr, who wasn't the quarterback they needed him to be. So hopefully now with this new receiving core, hopefully gets a little bit of a wake-up call, goes back to how he was in 2016. And this defense took a step up. They got Vontaze Burfict. They got Brandon Marshall. They got LaMarcus Joyner there as well. This is actually a really good defense. In the secondary, it's actually a really good secondary. Gary and Conley ended up with 3 interceptions last year. Now you also add LaMarcus Joyner to the mix. This is a really good secondary. So watch out for the Raiders. I have them down number 3. They do have a shot to take the number 2 spot, especially if Melvin Gordon doesn't go back to Los Angeles, which then brings me to number 2. I have the Los Angeles Chargers. I don't have them really missing a step. The problem is, can they bring back Melvin Gordon? They need to bring him back. Phillip Rivers is a really good quarterback. They have a great receiving core, but this team revolves around the running back. It has for years. There's no coincidence that when they had LaDainian Tomlinson, they were a playoff team. And when he left and they got Ryan Matthews, who rarely played, and when he did play, didn't play at the same level as Tomlinson or Gordon, that during that time they weren't a playoff threat. And now with Gordon, now they are. This team revolves around the running back they have for years. So without Gordon there, you're relying heavily on Austin Eckler, who's a good passing down running back, but he's not a good 3-down back. So they would take a step back, probably sliding down to number 3, potentially sliding down to number 4 without Melvin Gordon. No disrespect on Phillip Rivers. It's just that this team heavily relies on the running back. Kind of like Dallas with Ezekiel Elliott. Dak Prescott can play great, but that team heavily revolves around Elliott. So in the same way, that's how Gordon kind of plays a role there in the Los Angeles offense. Now on the defensive side of things, they need a pass rusher. I love Ingram. I love Bosa. But someone needs to get to the quarterback. Someone needs to get to the quarterback. They need to create more turnovers. Derwin James was a great safety last year, but they need some more help. This defense is a good defense, but you can't be an elite defense without getting the turnovers, without getting to the quarterback. That's what they need to do. So either they need to take a step up and be able to get those turnovers, be able to get to the quarterback, or they need to find someone this next season who can do that. But otherwise, this is a solid defense. They are a threat, but they could be a lot better than what they are. So number one, I had the Kansas City Chiefs. Now they took some heavy losses on defense. They lost Dee Ford. They lost Justin Houston. They lost Alan Bailey. Those 3 were actually in the top 5 of their sack leaders this last year. They also lost Eric Berry. And they brought to Ryan Matthew to kind of help him out. But when it comes to the rest of the defense, there's not a lot of new faces there to help them out. So there's a lot of questions over, is this defense going to be good enough? But lucky for them, their offense is one of the strongest in the NFL. Pat Mahomes, running backs, they don't have Kareem Hunt anymore, but they do have Damian Williams, who's a good solid running back. And if he doesn't work out for whatever reason, they do have Carlos Hyde behind him. And Carlos Hyde, great running back, probably shouldn't have been traded from Cleveland. The only reason they did was because Nick Chubb was showing he can be a 3-down back. But Hyde never really did anything to lose his job. But then look at this receiving core. They got Tyreek Hill back. And they also got the guy that was potentially supposed to replace Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman. Now he's there. And he plays kind of the same receiver as Tyreek Hill plays. So now you might have 2 Tyreek Hills on this offense. It was hard enough for them to cover one of them. Now they have 2. So this offense might have actually taken a huge step up just from drafting Mecole Hardman. And then don't forget they still have Travis Kelce there as well. And then, of course, there's Patrick Mahomes. Now, Mahomes had such a good season last year. It's really hard to say he's going to have as good or a better season as he did. So expect him to have some lower numbers. But that's not... I'm not trying to go after Patrick Mahomes or anything. It's just that after a season like that, it's really hard to repeat that No quarterback has repeated that except for Drew Brees. Drew Brees is the only quarterback to have more than one 5,000-yard season. So it's a little bit more realistic to say that he's probably going to go under in yards, and he's probably going to go a little bit under in touchdowns as he did this last year. He's still going to have an amazing season, I think, but it's probably not going to be as good as last year. So that's why I have number 4 being Denver, number 3 being Oakland. Both of those two have a chance to go up if the Chargers don't have Melvin Gordon, if they trade him away, or if he decides to hold out. Otherwise, Chargers should be number 2, getting a good wild card spot there. I don't see him not making playoffs if they have Gordon there. And of course, number 1 being the Kansas City Chiefs. So that finishes us out with the AFC. My next video will be talking about the NFC, starting with the NFC North. So this has been this episode of Pro Football Today. I'd love to see your comments. I'd love to hear what you have to say. So I hope you have a good rest of your day.